everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the vlog. Yes, your eyes aren't deceiving you. I have bought a Tesla. I can't even believe I'm saying that. I bought a Tesla. I cannot tell you how long I've wanted to own one of these cars, but they are always way out of my reach. So to be able to own a Model S, I'm just over the moon. And in fact, I didn't even believe that I was going to win the auction. If you've seen the auction, and if you are a Patreon, you will see the actual auction and the stress that I went through. Probably the most stressful auction that I have actually gone through because of the way that the ASM system works. So if you've ever bidded for a car on ASM, it's a proxy bid. You put your figure in and then the system will bid. And the way it works is that you have a countdown clock, and every time someone bids, it adds 30 seconds to the clock. And it kept on going up to 2 minutes and then coming down to like 10 seconds. So just when you think you're gonna win the auction, someone then puts another bid in, and it went on like that for about 15 minutes. It seemed like an hour, but the actual auction itself lasted about 15 minutes. And I had to walk out of the room a couple of times as well. So, you know, to come back in and see that I actually won the car was a relief, to say the least. But then of course that's when the stress started to come, because owning a Tesla comes with a multitude of potential issues. Number one being the fact that you've got a mains battery, a huge battery, which is the main power source for the car. And was the battery going to be okay? Will we be able to start the car? Was there any damage that was unseen? It just seemed a little bit too easy. And the price that I got the car from, yes, it cost me 5.5k. That's 5.5k above the price that I sold my Golf for. It just seemed too much of a bargain. All right, okay, sorry about that. Just had another bit delivered for the Tesla. Parts just keep coming for this car. Anyway, so we won the car, and that's when all the anxieties began. And when the car actually came here, well, my issue before that was getting the car here, because the Model S is a 2-ton car. Most delivery drivers and pickup vans, they can only carry 1.5 tons. So I basically pull it out, because I normally go and collect my cars if they're local, and this car was from Southampton, which is only about 50 miles away. But the vehicle that I normally hire is only 1.5 tons, so it needs to be a bigger vehicle. So the chap who actually picked it up, he was the only one who actually came, but it was still less than what I could have done it, so it was worth my while, although the vehicle that he actually used wasn't really legal. But I guess that's his problem. So here on screen you can see him delivering the car, and what a nightmare it was to deliver that car, because the car had no power because it wasn't charged. Second of all, the near side wheel, front wheel, the hub has been damaged, as you'll see in a second when we go and view the car. So we had to put it on a dolly, and then we had to work out how to power the car up because we couldn't find the battery. Turns out that the battery is hidden underneath the carbon filter for the intake cabin, so you got to undo a shield, as I discovered later. But I googled and YouTube a whole lot of videos, and where the battery was supposed to be, it just wasn't there. So we finally found these 2 probes at the front of the car, where we were able to give the car enough charge to bring it to life, and then that allowed us to be able to then get onto the car. But the car also had no charge in the battery. It was absolutely zero, and that of course was a concern, because have the cells been damaged? Will the car charge? And I think that's the reason why the 12-volt battery has died, because that charges the main power cell powers the 12-volt battery, and if there's no 12-volt battery, it will shut down, and the system still needs to be powered. So the car basically drained the battery. So there is a tow mode on the Tesla, and then once we got the screen powered, we're able to put the car in tow mode, which then releases the brake, and that allowed us to get it off the vehicle. And then of course once that happened, I then had to move the car, as you can see on screen now, and I had to use my van to do that because it's such a heavy car. And plus, even when I put it onto dollies, it was such a hot day that the actual dollies began to sink in the tarmac. That's a numerous first world problems. But the car is here, and fortunately it charges. I've got a granny charger. I'm going to have to get myself a proper charger, even though I can charge it at work, because we've got 3-phase charging there, so that will give it the equivalent of supercharging. but even so, it does charge, and we've got about 37 miles now in there, which is a relief. Now that's the car all delivered. That's when I discovered what I actually purchased, because I didn't really know much about the Tesla range. I did some research, but my research, it was just basically, the goal was to get a Tesla of some sort, whether it be a Model S, a Model 3. I was looking at some Model 3s, but they're still, I had a lot more than what I paid for this. So this Model S being a 2014 car as well, and there's a reason why I wanted this car specifically. We'll come on to that in a moment. When I realized what the car was, I was really impressed. So this is a P85, so it's a performance model, and the 85 stands for 850 kilowatt battery, and it's a plus version, so that's the one with the red calipers. So this car will do 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. It has 600 newton meters of torque, and on a full charge will do around 313 miles. Now this car is an 8-year-old car, so it probably won't do that, probably more 250. But you know what, I'm happy because my Golf did 25 miles, so to have a car that does over 200 miles, I'm absolutely happy with that. So we got this performance model, and it's fully kitted out. It's got the sunroof, etc. Yeah, it is a very nice car, and the damage is really superficial. Let's go and show you the damage on the car, and then we'll come back. Okay, so here is the car in question. So here we have my new project, my Model S. This is going to stay around for a while, and of course we get straight into the damage. So we've got the wing. The bonnet has not been touched, it's absolutely fine, no kinks, no dents or anything like that. We've got a little bit of damage here on the windscreen, sorry, on the headlight. Of course the wing completely obliterated. The wheel, although it's been scratched up, is actually fine. So we're going to get that refurb. Now down below behind we've got a damaged hub that's broken, and I'm going to take the wheel off next week to just have a look to see if there's anything else. No doubt the sway bar that will be broken, so we'll get that replaced, and then we'll need a replacement shield. But other than that, this area here and the front bumper, that is the primary damage. Now I'm going to show you underneath, and the battery. Now where it should be is there. Where it is behind that container there. That's where the battery is. So in the front you've got these little probes here, you can see. That is where you charge, and at the moment I've got an AGM battery just keeping the charge up. It's probably will be fine, but I need to test that first. But I'm making sure the systems stay active while we get some charge in the car, so that when the car does run, it will run absolutely fine. Here's a key. It's a single key for this one, but we can get other keys for that. Double click, doors open, and then the door literally just flicks open. Now inside you can see that we've got about 40 miles of charge, so we're charging okay on a granny charger, but it's taken a bit of a while to get this far. And it's really hot in here as well, and the system, when you get into the car, it's live straight away. And no, this is not where I live, so don't worry, I'm not exposing where my house is. But all the controls are done here, and then the dashboard is pretty straightforward, pretty simplistic. Right, so that's inside, and the leather inside this car is fantastic. And the car, as you can see, has only done, we've got the mileage up here, it's only done 54,000 miles. It's literally done absolutely nothing in its life, and the interior matches that. The seats are perfect, and it's just a very nice place to be. The wheels, it's 21-inch wheels. You can see the red calipers on there. The tyres, unfortunately, are going to need replacing because I think they're worn. The rears are okay. And then we've got this carbon fibre, which is only on the performance models. Then you've got the boot. massive boot, absolutely huge boot on these things. It's incredible. And we've got a nice liner, but sadly there are no cables that came with the car, so I'm a bit disappointed with that because I have to fork out for those. So at the moment I'm using my granny charger just to give it a trickle charge, but seems to be working. So what we're going to be doing to this car, well, next week we'll be taking the car apart so we can find all the parts. On the front here, I'm actually going to take the opportunity to do a facelift on this car, because amazingly Tesla have done no changes to the actual front of the car compared to this model, which is a 2014 model, compared to the latest model. So the headlights, although they've changed the headlights slightly, they haven't changed the shape, and the actual front is exactly the same. Even the moldings, we have to, on the actual, there's a couple of modifications we need to make on the later wing, but it will fit straight on, which is really good. So that's what we need to do. This should be quite quick, and of course we need to take, this is the slam panel, which is clearly broken, so I've got an up-to-date one, and I'll show you that in a second. So here's a slam panel. This is a newer slam panel than what's fitted. The one that's on there is like a aluminium one. This one is a plastic one, so hardened plastic, which you get on most slam panels, because this does not take the crash. It's got a crash bar for that. So this is a more up-to-date one, which is akin to this here. This is the later shape front, and I've got a wing as well. They're going to go to the body shop next week to get paint. This is the new hub that I've got. So I've got most of the parts here, and that's the original interior that needs to go on to the car. So I think failing a couple of other little bits, we are actually going to make quite speedy progress on this, because I want to get the car on the road as soon as possible, as you can imagine, because I don't have a car at the moment. So yeah, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Now, here's another thing reason why I wanted that car. Now, Tesla, when they launched the 2014 model, which is what that is in the UK, I think up to 2016, but definitely the 2014, because I have checked and verified this. A couple of things I had to verify before I actually committed to buying a Tesla. The 2014 cars up to 2016 have lifetime free supercharging.
Something that's unique about the supercharger is that it's free. It's not just free now, it's free forever.
Which means anytime I go on the motorway, I can use a supercharger for free. And that's transferable to any new owner. So me being a new owner, that will be the case. And that particular car, because it's such a low mileage, when you look at the MOTs on that car, it has literally no faults. It's sailed through every single MOT, and that's one of the good things about Teslas. They just, they do have problems with the batteries, but then they're far and few in between. I'll probably just jinx myself now by saying that, haven't I? But they don't wear on brakes because they have regenerative braking, so there's very few parts that actually wear out like you would normally get in a mechanical car. So in the MOTs that car had, it had one MOT or 1 year when it had an advisory, and that was simply tires. Tires were at the limit. That was it. So you can see that it's you don't look after the car, because it don't really need servicing. And with the free supercharging, that was definitely the attraction. Plus, Tesla have actually opened up their workshop manuals for free. So if you have a Tesla, you can register online and you pay zero, and you get access to all the part lists, which is what has helped me to get the parts for the car. It's fully accessible, and there's workshop manuals on there, and they're all freely accessible to anybody, which is brilliant. And they also have their diagnostic tool called Toolbox, and you can basically pay by the hour. You have to buy the cable separate, but you can get Toolbox free. It's online, and it will talk to your car, and it will basically send any diagnostics or tell you what's wrong with the car should you come up with a problem, which is unique, brilliant. And even if there's a problem with the battery, what I've seen through my research is that can be repaired, because often it is a batch of cells that can be replaced. And considering the expense that they cost, because per block they're about 7 700 quid from what I can see, but there are various ones, and there are some software that you can use to check, and it will tell you exactly which bank is gone, and you can even check a new bank. So there are, and that's what gave me the reassurance and the confidence to want to go ahead and buy, because I've been looking to buy a Tesla for the last sort of 6 to 7 years. So there you go. Now, what about the battery degrading? Well, again, it's been well documented that Tesla's 8 years old, and Tesla actually guaranteed the battery for 8 years. This one has just come out of warranty, but owners who've had cars that are older, and in the US that Model S has been out a lot longer, a couple of years more before it came to the UK, those batteries have lost 2 to 4%, a small percentage decrease. So like I said, it's supposed to do 313 miles per charge. I'm happy if it does 250. Most people are kind of reporting between the 280 to 300, which is a minimal loss really, and considering how much it costs to charge a Tesla from flat to full, which is about £5 to £6, at worst £9, that is considerably cheaper than putting fuel in the car, and that's the main reason why I have bought this car. So this car will certainly be a keeper. That's my intentions anyway. We're going to give it a bit of a facelift as well. In fact, the body panels that you saw, they're going to the paint shop on Monday, and so yeah, this will be a very interesting project. But you know what, I really look forward to hearing your comments, and tell me what you think of the build. And before we conclude this, to buy this car, like I said, it cost me an extra 5.5k over the price that I sold the Golf for. In reality, and I will reveal the price when we come to the end, because the Golf, with all the work that I did on it, and even the tuning and the remapping, cost me nothing in the year and 4 months that I had that 4 months that I had that car. It cost me absolutely nothing, because the price that I put in and the price that I sold it for, even though I sold that quite cheap, because I sold it to a good friend of mine. And don't worry, all of those Golf GTE owners who've subscribed, you will be seeing the car coming back, because I'll be doing some of the servicing and the cam belt, which a lot of you will be asking. So it will be back for that. So I sold it cheap, but it still, I still made a small profit on there, and basically it cost me nothing to run that car for the year, which is great as far as I'm concerned. So this Tesla's cost me an additional 5.5k on top. It's probably going to cost me about £1,800 to put right, because Tesla parts aren't cheap. Even second hand, they aren't cheap, because there aren't many of them. In fact, the wing that I got, it's got a dent in it, and it's the best of the bunch. Every wing that was on eBay had dents. Go figure. So a decent, how much would a decent one, same year, probably a little bit more mileage, that's the ones that I've seen. The cheapest that I have seen of those cars is about £34,000. So if I took that into account, I'm actually saving £14,500. That kind of give you a rough idea of what I purchased the car for. So 34, and I'm saving around 14. Yeah. So you can see the attraction of why I've gone for this car, and I'm surprised it didn't go for more, because it should have done. But I just think perhaps like me, a lot of people didn't know what the car was. And so I'm over the moon, absolutely over the moon. So next week we'll be breaking that down, and we'll be getting into it and getting that car sorted and live, and I cannot wait for my first drive in that car. So in the meantime, if you're really looking forward to seeing this car get on the road, then don't forget to subscribe. If you are a casual viewer, click on the bell notification button so you are notified whenever we release a new video, and we will see you on the next one. Look forward to seeing you then.